Gobius strikes. Feels like a good one. It just comes off a rock and absolutely lights it up. Just envision that fish following it, beating along the bottom. It loads up on a rock. And this happens. That is such a unique little bait, and you know, it works everywhere in the country, whether there's gobies in there, because there's always some kind of little bait fish, smallmouth, are chasing along the bottom. Whether it's a crawdad, it represents a crayfish, sculpin, you know, a lot of different things, but we catch them at home where there's sculpins, catch them where there's no sculpins, you catch them where there's crayfish. The gobius just catches them. It's just a cool little compact, pre-molded, goby looking bait, and it just represents so many things the way it beats along the bottom like that. We're gonna let this guy go. I'll tell you a little more about the gobius. You know, there's times in every lake fish really want to feed up or they want to feed on the bottom, and that changes throughout the day. Light penetration. This bait is really designed to beat along the bottom though. That's what it represents: a crayfish, a goby, sculpin, little river darters, all kinds of stuff it represents, but it's something they're not able to identify. This bait just is dragging along the bottom. I like throwing on straight fluorocarbon. You know, with a rod that's going to load up. You want that stretch to build in your line so it comes across that rock. It starts to load on the rock and then it breaks free. And that's 90% of the time, that's when you get a bite. When that bait starts to load up on something, it'll go free. Fish just engulf it at that point. It's something they can't identify. They track along the bottom. It's really, again, designed as a bottom bait, represents a ton of different species, comes in a lot of different weights, so you can fish it shallow, you can fish it deep, but again, it's just steady reeling along the bottom is the way I like to fish it. I'm sure you'll find other ways to fish it, but that steady reel along the bottom and let the bottom create the action for your bait. So, all right guys, let me walk you through a cast here with the gobius, how I like to fish it. We're out here on a lake right now, catching smallmouth. There's a big rock bar out here in the middle. There's fish kind of cruising around on it. I'm throwing up on top of it here. You can see I make a long cast. I have it on 15-pound fluorocarbon, a 3/4 ounce gobius, and it's about 8 feet deep. So it sounds like a lot. You have a lot of line, but again, you want that bait beating along the bottom. So you can see I hit the bottom there, and all I'm gonna do is just steadily reel that bait. And as I'm coming along here, you'll see my rod tip start to bounce when it hits those rocks. It's kind of like fishing a swing head, but a whole different version of it. So I just keep it steadily moving like that. And you can see the stretch in my line as my tip works. It's causing that bait to actually dart as it comes off of rocks, gravel, you know, whatever you're coming over. That stretch in your line starts to build. It breaks free, causes that bait to speed up and slow down along the bottom. So it's going, just kind of darting along. Even though you're reeling it steady, that stretch in your line is causing that bait to move along there. Super weedless bait, so you rarely get hung up on here, yet it still really hooks those fish really well. And the hook is actually hidden here behind the dorsal fin. So you can see that there's a hook slot that collapses, and that hook will come out when you actually hook a fish, but it protects it. So it's extremely weedless bait, fishing around hard or soft cover. It's got a flat angle to the top of the hook here where it'll start into the fish, but it's gonna push the meat down and get it in that steeper angle where it really keeps those fish pinned. Oh, just don't cross those locks. That's another nice one. It's whipping me. Oh, we got her on the gobius. Look at that right there. Pretty old smallmouth. Gobius clicking along the bottom, and it ran it down like a track star. I like it. I double hooked it through the Elastec, through the hook. That fish was never coming off. Gobius, pretty cool little bait. Smallmouth, largemouth, spotted bass, walleye, catches them all, it seems like. Just a fun little bait to reel along the bottom, and you can just envision those fish tracking it along and smashing into the rocks, and they bite it, you know it. Fun deal. The gobius comes in 3/8 to 3/4 ounce, so there's quite a few options. For me, I always want to fish heavier than what you'd expect. You want that bait making a lot of disturbance, just crushing rocks, beating through the grass, whatever it is on the bottom. You know, I throw 3/4, probably more than I throw any of them. If you are going to use it on a spinning outfit, a lighter one, maybe we're downsizing to a 3/8 or a half, or if you're fishing really shallow. Oh, it's coming at me. The gobius. That's cool. I hit a big rock out there and it just broke free and lit it up. Oh, it's a little one too. Oh. Even the little guys like the gobies. Thought that was a little meal.